The Daily Scrum. The sprint is a container for all 4 Scrum events and also for all the work necessary to achieve the product goal. As soon as the sprint plan is ready, the team begins this work. And the next formal event will be the Daily Scrum on the next working day. So, the Daily Scrum. Pay attention that the meeting is not called stand-up. This is the name of a similar meeting in the extreme programming approach. In Scrum, it is called the Daily Scrum, because it loops the daily cycle, similar to sprint, but shorter. You remember, each sprint event is a formal opportunity to inspect and adapt Scrum artifacts, and every event specifically designed to enable transparency. The purpose of the Daily Scrum is to inspect progress toward the sprint goal and adapt the sprint backlog as necessary, adjusting the upcoming planned work. The Daily Scrum is time-boxed to a maximum of 15 minutes for a 1-month sprint. For shorter sprints, the event is usually the same. Why is this so? Because you hold Daily Scrum every day, not every sprint as you do with other events. To reduce complexity, it is held at the same time and place every working day of the sprint. This is an event for the developers of the Scrum team. This is another example of how self-management and empowerment work. If the product owner or the Scrum Master are actively working on items in the sprint backlog, in other words, they are committed to creating any aspect of a usable increment each sprint as the developers are, then they participate in the Daily Scrum as developers. The Scrum Master ensures that this event takes place, is positive, productive, and kept within the time box. By the end of the Daily Scrum, the developers should have evaluated progress toward the sprint goal and produce an actionable plan for the next day of work. And here you may ask, how can the developers produce a detailed, actionable plan for the next day of work within just a 15-minute time box? Well, first of all, they created the sprint plan during the sprint planning event, focusing on it for 8 hours or less. The sprint backlog should have enough detail so that the developers can inspect their progress in the Daily Scrum. And secondly, the Daily Scrum is not the only time the developers are allowed to adjust their plan. They may do it anytime. They often meet throughout the day for more detailed discussions about adapting or replanning the rest of the sprint's work. Remember, Scrum team is expected to adapt the moment it learns anything new through inspection. To do this, they should be empowered by the organization to be a self-managing team. Otherwise, adaptation becomes more difficult.